Stories of Great Christians.
From its radio studios in Chicago, the Moody Bible Institute greets its friends everywhere with Chapter 9 in the transcribed story of Florence Nightingale, The Lady with the Lamb. Florence Nightingale was shocked to learn that her committee had made almost no arrangements for the opening of the Harley Street Hospital. This establishment for poor gentlewomen had suffered for several years from mismanagement. Now it was to be moved to a new location and put under the superintendency of the very capable Miss Nightingale. Florence was appalled when she learned that she'd have to furnish an empty house and get supplies ready for opening within 10 days. But by working night and day and all the while seeking God's help, she was able to accomplish seeming miracles. The hospital opened on schedule, and Florence was soon busy with organizational reforms. One of the first things to be done was to have a lengthy discussion with the housekeeper.
I wanted to talk to you in the kitchen because there are a number of things that I'm concerned about.
I've done my best, miss. It's not easy to feed a house full of sick folk with the little money I've been afforded.
I'm not trying to say that it's easy. Few things in life are. But let's get down to points.
Besides, I've been thinking a lot of my poor mother. She's got an inn way out on King's Highway.
We'll have a little chat about your mother some other time. I'd like to discuss the housekeeping matters first.
Yes, ma'am. As you say, ma'am. But you can't blame me for thinking.
No. Now then, I'd like to ask about these gem pots.
Gems, dear, cost 2 shillings a pot.
I see. And you ordered in like this, a pot at a time?
Well, yes, I don't see how else.
It could be made right here in the kitchen in quantities, couldn't it? That would cut the cost a great deal.
Oh, but that's an awful lot of work, ma'am. That takes a lot of looking after.
Well, I guess it does. But it could be managed by someone who was willing to work.
I know what you're trying to say, ma'am.
Then there's a matter of ordering.
Oh, excuse me, ma'am. That must be the boy bringing the victuals.
Back again? I brought you a bigger load than this morning. Got any more of those biscuits for me?
Hush your big mouth and get out. Can't you see?
Oh, I'll just leave the things down here. Be back after a while.
As I was saying, the ordering will have to be done differently.
I've done my very best, miss.
It's not just a matter of doing your best. There are better ways of doing things. You need to organize a thing. The diet should be set up, menus planned, and food ordered in early. That way, knowing ahead what you'll be needing, then you can buy in large quantities, and thereby save the institution a lot of money.
Well, you'll have to get a financier to do all that.
Now, those things could be handled, I believe, by the housekeeper.
Like I was saying about me mother.
Another thing. The chair covers really shouldn't be put on with nails. It makes removing them very difficult to send to the laundry.
Sending them to the laundry?
Indeed. It's really quite necessary, you know. They're plainly filthy.
The first superintendent never meddled with things like that.
We're not talking about the first superintendent, but about this house. Now, I showed you the broom and supply closets, but I've never seen a single broom in any one of them.
Oh, miss, we don't have brooms to scatter all around the hospital like that.
And I haven't seen any dusters either, or brushes for scrubbing.
You know, Miss Nightingale, I just can't wait to tell you about my poor mother. She's got this inn, you know, out on King's Highway, and she's not been able to run it alone anymore. I've been thinking that's where I better go, ma'am.
What? You mean you're leaving?
She's pretty old now, my poor mother, and I could do a lot for her. Seems a pity to leave you like this, ma'am,
I gladly parted with my housekeeper after that first interview. The house surgeon resigned after a month. These had to be replaced. And then there were other problems, too. such as the criminal carelessness of the chemist. Will you wait just a minute, miss? We'd better look over those drugs before putting them into the cabinet. I don't trust that chemist somehow.
Yes, ma'am. As you say.
Are the drugs on hand now? Doctor said to give the elderly lady in room 3 some spirits of nitre.
Oh, yes, that's right. Oh, let me look around a bit. Well, I know I ordered spirits of nitre.
Is this the bottle, Miss Nightingale?
Oh, yes, there it is, plainly labelled.
Then I'll take it right up to the patient, ma'am.
Yes, she's supposed to have it. Here you are.
Thank you. I'll get right back to my work. The doctor said she was to have...
Wait, come back, please.
What is it? Something wrong?
I don't know. Maybe I'm silly, but I was just telling the girl here that I don't trust the chemist. Give me back the bottle, please.
Right.
I'll just uncork it. There. Take a little sniff. Oh, God be thanked.
Is there anything the matter?
God has once more guided us in saving a life. Do you know, this stuff is ether. Well, I believe I'm winning the committee. Even the lady who was my greatest enemy is now trumpeting my fame throughout London. I can't help but think, however, that the ladies love me mostly because I'm saving them money. By buying wholesale, getting a house surgeon who could dispense medicines right here, and by other economies, I've reduced the expense per patient about a third. Oh, it's been a struggle, but a worthwhile one. And I've never repented of my decision to come here, nor ever looked back. Not for one moment. I begin the new year with more true feeling of a happy new year than I've ever had in my whole life. Some of the incidents of hospital life are necessarily sad. I always accompany Dr. Bowman on his rounds to visit the patients, and one of the saddest visits we had to make today was... Well, the cataract case is next, I guess, Dr. Bowman.
Yes, and I can't help being a little anxious about that poor woman. I knew, of course, we were taking a chance in couching for that cataract.
Oh, but, Doctor, you've done all that you possibly could. Her sight now is in the hands of God.
Well, we can only tell if the operation was a success when we take the bandages off. You have her in here now?
Yes, we thought we should keep her alone and let her get as much rest as possible. She seems rather over-emotional.
I've noticed that.
And we followed your directions very carefully.
I'm sure you have. Your patients are all devoted to you, Miss Nightingale, and rightly so. You do everything for their comfort.
Thank you, Doctor. She's not asleep, I see. We'll go right in.
Well, feeling pretty chipper today, young lady?
Not too well, Dr. Bowman.
Well, let's take a look. Have you felt pain in the eye?
Not too much.
Today the bandages come off. Then we can tell how we came out.
Doctor, do you think I'm going to see? Is it going...
There. Just take it easy. Lie back and be as calm as you can. As I said, we can tell when we take the bandages off.
Shall I darken the room, Doctor?
Please do, Miss Nightingale.
Doctor, you won't tell me anything. I couldn't sleep all night thinking, Doctor...
Now, calm and easy. Oh, you mustn't sit bolt upright like that. Back against the pillow. There, that's it. Relax.
All ready, Doctor.
Very well. We're going to remove this adhesive now. And now the gauze. Easy, young lady. Now the bandage on the eye itself. All right. Do you see?
It's dark. I'm blind. Oh, why didn't you kill me? It's dark.
A tragic case. She's not only lost her sight, but I fear for her mind as well.
Oh, it's too bad. I don't know when I've suffered so acutely for a patient.
Oh, Miss Nightingale, you mustn't feel any personal responsibility. You've done everything humanly possible to aid her, and what more can we do?
You are right, of course.
I knew beforehand that we were taking a chance.
But you proceeded with the utmost caution, Doctor. You're completely blameless.
We must be satisfied with having done our duty and pray that God will comfort her spirit.
Yes. Still, a case like this grieves me. I guess I'll just have to learn to bear the pain of it. When it came to handling the committee, Mrs. Herbert was my strongest ally. After my appointment, she was no longer content with merely giving occasional advice. She joined up and began to support me actively. Whenever she was in London, she came by the Harley Street home, and we had some very interesting talks.
So we got all 5 of the resolutions through the committee.
I guess I'm finally learning to handle them, but it takes a lot of forethought.
The best way is to propose to A, B, or C privately, in advance, whatever you think A, B, or C is most capable of carrying through.
That's right. Then when it comes to the actual meeting, everything runs smoothly.
Oh, I confess I didn't really breathe easily till the last point was discussed and decided on.
And I didn't breathe easily till we said the last goodbye and the cab came to take us away.
Oh, Flo, it was worth all the effort, though. The hospital now has a suitable advertisement, for one thing.
And what's still better, a set of really official house rules.
All composed by our dear Flo.
If I didn't think I'd shock them, I'd like to give them a few pointers on organization.
Oh.
You know, sometimes I fear for this poor hospital. Papa calls me a benevolent tyrant, but the place would go to ruin if I weren't always conniving.
So far as I'm concerned, you can connive to the limit.
Oh, Liz. I'm afraid I'm boring you with all these doings in this little molehill.
No, not at all, Flo. On the contrary, I'm surprised to hear you call it a molehill. You're not tiring of your project now that you've got it running smoothly, are you?
Well, there are times when my mind begins to drift away to other problems.
Oh, such as what, for instance?
Well, basically, we need a new kind of nurse.
Oh.
What I'd like to have here is a big new training program for nurses. But I can't have it here. This puddle is too small for such a big project.
If only there was... I'm going to keep it in mind, Flo.
Please do. And now that we're on the subject, shall I confess what I've really been doing? I've spent all my spare hours recently in London hospitals.
Oh, what you must have seen.
Well, I was prepared for the worst, but even so it amazed me.
You know, Sidney would love to have you share your facts with him.
I know your husband. Wherever he finds a reformer, he finds a friend.
Oh, that's right. He thinks abuses often continue simply because nobody ever tries to change things. They say, why bother? Flo, if only we could get someone like Lady Palmerston interested.
Oh, I know what you mean. I've heard her. Of course, the nurses drink. We all know that. But poor things. It must be so tiresome for them to sit up all night.
Oh, you sound just like her. And when you stop and think, there's really a great demand for good nursing.
You're right. A doctor even asked me for a couple of reliable nurses. He wanted them for 2 colonial hospitals. At last I had to tell him I didn't have any fish of that kind.
The crying need is for a decent setup to train honest young women.
Indeed. And to make nursing a respectable profession. God has made me believe that it can be done, Liz. And with his help, I'm going to do it.
So we conclude Chapter 9 in the transcribed story of Florence Nightingale, The Lady with the Lamp. This is another in the series of stories of great Christians, which come to you from the radio studios of the Moody Bible Institute in Chicago.